Hi, my name is Angela Elder, and I am doing the topic Reason Bullying Occurs. So, one in two people have experienced bullying before their 20th birthday, which is just wild. Which that means I know I have experienced bullying, which that means some of you have also experienced bullying. So the definition of bullying, this is the Urban Dictionary definition. Bullying is it's gonna either rather it's gonna be verbal, physical. It can also sometimes be both of them. It is people that are seeking power in their lives and finding those who are vulnerable and attacking those. These are the different types of bullying that I was able to find. Bullied bullies, these are people that are getting relief from feeling helpless or overpowering others. Social bullying, these are people that have poor self-esteem. These are people that are going to manipulate through gossip and being mean. Detached bullies, these are people that plan their attacks to their victims and are very likable to everybody else. Hyperactive bullies, they just don't know how to understand being social and can just act inappropriately, and this sometimes can become physical. Cyberbullying, this is when people are attacking people through technology and whether it be through a computer screen, your phone, social media. So I found this really interesting. I gave credit when credit's due. This is how they were able to go about finding how the whole school and a wider community can help determine why bullying happens and help find their solutions and influence each other. This is how oh my goodness, the the bullying act the Anti-Bullying Act got started, and they realized that preventing or making it known in schools and showing awareness on it, that is what was going to be able to help people be influenced and see it and recognize it and be able to prevent it. So my next couple slides, now these don't always make a bully, but these can all create a bully. So home life, one in three people that bully others have experienced lack of attention in their home, parents not spending enough time with their kids. In my line of work, I have actually have heard this comment more than probably anything is I want to spend time with my mom as I want to spend time with my dad. I want to have a conversation. I want to talk. So that goes to little and no affection and openness. Other siblings can be bullying them. The all sibling rivalry can carry on and affect them and affect their social life and want to target people. I found out that uh, having a new baby born into the family can cause people bullying. Also, parents can be the bullies. This can be coming from their parental figures in their life. This is also dysfunctional families. Dysfunctional families can be alcohol abuse, drug abuse, domestic violence, poverty level, not getting the correct education, things like that. Um, Parents going through a divorce, parents often forget that not only they're going through the divorce, but as well as the kids are going through divorce. Single parent home life, whether it be mom or with dad. Large families, people that have a lot of siblings and um, siblings, they tend to be more aggressive. And someone that also lives with people that aren't their biological parents, whether it be an uncle, aunt, brother, sister, friend, adopted parents, um, that can affect them as well. So I know a lot of these are on home life, but I really think that, and what I've seen and what I've noticed throughout this is that they don't just affect someone in that state. Childhood can also affect someone in their adolescence. It can also affect someone all the way into their adulthood. And this can be the dysfunctional home life of being how they were raised. This also can not just be from parents or siblings. This can also be from coaches, teachers, people that are their role models that they are looking up to. Um, Feeling powerless, not feeling in their home, not feeling like they have a voice in their home, so they're being dominant outside of the home. Having no secure relationships, whether it be friendships or parents, there's no security there, no attachment that, and so they have to feel like the fight or fleet mode. Death of a relative, I think death also, that can be death of a friend, or um, it doesn't necessarily have to be a relative, someone that dies. And then also the big one is people get short-tempered when they're stressed or anxiety or depression. That also seem to be a really big one that was up there, was people under a lot of stress seem to tend to be more aggressive. And envy, someone being jealous of somebody. Rather it be them being really good at art or being able to get straight A's, or someone that's super athletic, or someone that has a bolder personality characteristics that they want. This attacking someone that is unique about them and targeting that, and this can make a victim not want to be unique anymore. This can be frustration with someone, just like plain out annoyance with someone. Prejudice, this can be targeting anybody with special needs, food allergies, race, religion, anything that can make anything that person's perspective they feel makes someone different. And then also bullies, I saw a lot of research showing that bullies often are lonely, and they're really just seeking attention, rather it being negative or positive. They're just wanting that and latching onto any way they can get it. Power. So kids can just, some are aggressive, dominating, impulsive by nature. Um, they're not meaning to. Also, the just driven for power and control, needing to have control over somebody. They need people to become afraid of them, and then they start manipulating that power, or they are in that power and start manipulating that power. Yeah. Sense of accomplishment. They're getting satisfaction of hurting someone. It's relieving. And payback, seeking revenge. They're trying to justify something that they feel, and their only way of being able to do that is harassing someone, and this is giving them the satisfaction that they're needing. Social. So kids that just get bored, they're nitpicking on people for the fun of it, looking for entertainment. Then also people are getting rewarded with popularity. Kids are influencing it, laughing about it. This could be through gossiping, rumors, engaging in shaming, and having social power and social gains over people, and gaining the social ladder as that way. So manifesting a social status, gaining the social ladder. And then their low self-esteem, and they're trying to avoid that on them. They're trying to not feel that about themselves, and so that's their best way to do that. And Simply, honestly, I think a lot of it goes back down to the lack of knowledge. They not understanding what empathy is, not understanding someone else's point of view and how they see things and not agreeing with it, and so they're acting out on not knowing how to respond to their stress, their emotions, their anger, and this becomes a coping mechanism for people and becomes who they are without realizing it. So this is what I have found about why bullying occurs. And then my references.
Right, so we are going to start with types of bullying. So there is many types of um, bullying, but I came up with the main ones, which is verbal, physical, social, and sexual. Um, so verbal bullying, it's from name calling and insulting somebody. Can either happen in person or in social media. Insulting someone about their physical characteristics, like the weight or height, can make someone, feel really uncomfortable. Um, so verbal bullying can be mentally harmful, especially when it comes to race, sexuality, um, culture, or religion. So we see that a lot here in the United States, because there is you so much diversity, and we see a lot of bullying, especially when it comes to race, sexuality, and culture and religion. So I would also see that when I was back in high school. I would see that a lot with some friends that were Muslim, and I saw that they stopped going to school. They didn't want to go to school anymore because they were bullied because they were Muslim and they would make fun of them. So yeah, we just gotta change that culture. The next one is physical bullying, which includes hitting or otherwise physically hurting someone, intimidating another person, and damaging or stealing their belongings. Um, Physical bullying, we we see that a lot in middle school. Here, I mean, we can see that in elementary school, middle school, high school, college. Um, they feel like they're superior um, than everyone else. So yeah, intimidating. It's um, like I said, they usually think that they're better than everyone else. So the next one is social bullying, which includes sharing information or images um, that will have a harmful effect on the other person, and which includes the, the other one, which is cyber bullying, um, which is like sharing the images, making online threats, and sending hurtful emails or text messages. Cyberbullying, it's a growing issue nowadays, among young people, because they can harass their targets with much less risk of being caught. They usually say things that they don't have the courage to say face to face because it makes them feel anonymous. And I think that's such a um, coward move, um, doing it. They don't do it face to face. So, and the last one will be sexual bullying, um, So it starts with like sexual name calling, vulgar gestures, uninviting touching, and pornographic material are some examples of sexual bullying. Uh, so we see sexual bullying, especially on women. And women, female, are often the targets of sexual bullying, both either by boys or girls. So, yeah. And in conclusion, bullies vary from one person to another. They have different styles, personalities, and behaviors. And most of the times, bullies they bully because they also have been bullied and feel superior to others. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
That's great. Next is mine, which is consequences of bullying on the victim. Sorry. So we have here are the consequences of bullying on the victim. And the basic consequences of bullying to victims is low self-esteem, self-harm, and academic failure. And the impact of bullying persists long after the actual event of bullying. So even if someone's getting bullied when they're 10, it can still impact them when they're 20, 30, 40, or even 50. Teachers, parents, and school systems and counselors should pay great attention to the victims of bullying and not assume that they just brush it off or they hit a magical age and everything's okay. And the victims of bullying are susceptible to re-victimization as adults, and that should be accounted for. There are 3 longitudinal cohorts done on victims of bullying that I thought was really interesting. There was the epidemiologic multi-center child psychiatric study done in Finland, the Great Smoky Mountain study in the US, and the National Child Development Study in the UK. The findings of the 3 cohorts were really interesting. So one is that victims, they had high rates of mental illnesses, and that included agoraphobia, depression, anxiety, panic disorder, and suicidality. And then that didn't just stay in their childhood, but that continued on to their early mid-20s compared to those who had not been bullied in school. And then because of these mental illnesses, they also had an increased risk of receiving psychiatric hospital treatment and using psychiatric medications in young adulthood. And there was similarities of research methods in the 3 cohorts I really liked because it just really validified the study for me. But they used prospective measures of bullying victimization in childhood and later outcomes in adulthood. So they really followed the children. They controlled for mental health problems in childhood, indicating that bullying victimization contributes to either to new or traditional mental health problems in later years. So if that child already had chronic depression, for example, before they got bullied, they would account for that. They accounted for a range of potential confounders, including childhood IQ, parents' SES, and gender. I thought that was really important because mental health is a complex issue. It's not just if you got bullied, but there's your SES, there's childhood IQ, there's family problems and things like that that could also contribute to mental health problems. And they are representative of the population of 3 different countries. So they didn't just stay in one country, but they looked at 3 different countries, which I think was important, showing that it's true for all children. There's another study done about twins, monozygotic twins. And some twins, especially identical twins, it's really important because they have the same genetics, and they usually have the same home environment. And so they would compare, but the school environment was not always the same. Some twins were more popular or at least got along with their peers, and the other twins were bullied. And bullying and victimization in childhood is associated with the blunted cortisol response, which in turn is associated with problems in social interaction and aggressive behavior. So this is found by comparing two identical twins where one twin was bullied and the other twin was not. And they noticed that the unbullied twin, in multiple studies, that the unbullied twin would have healthy levels of cortisol. And so what cortisol does is that it's a hormone that your brain releases when it's stressed. It sort of signifies for you to prepare for that stress. Like, okay, like, oh, I have a test coming up. I need to study. I need to do this. I need to look over that term I don't really understand. Or if you're in a stressful situation, like a physical stressful situation helps you get out of the danger. And it's really useful in stressful situations to just help you deal with the stress. But high levels of cortisol are bad, but not only are high levels of cortisol bad over a period of time, but also no cortisol or blunted cortisol. And sometimes when the body is, or the mind or the body is extremely stressed all the time, the body will be like, well, if we just keep on inputting high cortisol, that's not really good. So we're just going to blunt the cortisol. But blunted cortisol also has its own problems, such as in social interaction and aggressive behavior. And it can make it difficult for the students to motivate themselves to do other things too, like do good academically. Bully twins had higher metallothionein levels on the serotonin transport gene compared to their non-bullied co-twins. Higher levels of methylation were associated with lower levels of cortisol response. And then this served as an interface between childhood bullying victimization and later vulnerability to stress and psychopathology. So as the brain continued to be stressed, it's sort of like rewinding the brain that makes it difficult for later on too. Childhood victims suffer to adulthood. According to some studies, previously bullied young adults suffer from psychological disorders not only at the age of 23, but at the age of 50 also. So I thought that was interesting because I think sometimes we think, oh, they'll grow out of it. Like once they reach 18, they'll be fine. And if it's not 18, it'll be 25. And if it's not 25, like they really should get a hold of their life by the time they're 30. But according to studies that when these children will not only have these mental health problems at the age of 23, but also when they're 50, like halfway through their life. And when mental health problems begin in early childhood, they're likely to persist into adulthood. And with persistent mental health problems and low self-esteem comes the likelihood that victims will be bullied or abused again. And it creates this unhealthy pattern where they keep finding themselves in similar situations. And the best chance to stop bullying is really to help the victims because while it's important to help the bullies too, they have their own problems. But the victims, they really carry on that burden of being bullied long after it happened. And it really can affect how they think about themselves and their situations and how they react to problems. And the best way to help them break from that cycle is by talking to victims more and helping them cope and see themselves in a better light and know that what people are saying isn't true. And that as we do that, we can help these victims solve problems early on and potentially even avoid becoming a target in the first place. And these are my sources. That's all.
So I have, from my part of the project, I am talking about teaching empathy in the classroom, and I'd like to begin by giving the definition of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. I was able to use different viewpoints of students and teachers. When interviewing the students, I first explained empathy to the younger students that didn't understand or know what empathy was. And then I asked them, how does your teacher teach you empathy in the classroom. Then when I was interviewing the teachers, I asked, how do you teach empathy in your classroom? So looking at elementary students and teachers, these are their responses. A third grader said he learns how to help kids out that are being bullied, and he wants to learn how to tell the bullies to stop. And through examples, his teachers tell him what it's like to be heartbroken. And then a kindergartner that I interviewed said that her teachers teach her empathy by telling her to be nice. And a fourth grader said that his teachers make sure that everyone is treating everyone nicely, and by making sure that there is no name calling. A teacher that I had interviewed teaching 4th and 5th grade special ed said that she likes to be a model to her students, and she likes to set an example and let the students know that they're not alone, whatever they're going through. And she also likes to use the love and logic ideas from Mr. Wong. And then a kindergarten teacher that I had interviewed said that she likes to create a classroom family culture, and her classroom has a lot of special needs kids in there. So before the special needs kids get into her room, she will explain to the other kids that they might need to do different things when they're in there to stop the special needs students from freaking out or having a temper tantrum, and really having the students understand what is going on. And then a special education teacher that teaches kindergarten through 4th grade said that she likes to create a classroom family, and she likes to use a clip system. So when a student is being good, they will move clips up, and then when their clip reaches a certain point, they'll get a prize from the prize box. And then their school also uses a peer-to-peer program. In my research, I found that young children learn empathy both by watching and experience it from themselves. So just being an example to younger students and reading books with them about having empathy. And moving on to middle school, a 7th grader that I interviewed said that he learns empathy from his teachers explaining what empathy is, and by giving out situations for them to act it out. An 8th grader said that her teacher gives examples of what others go through and teaching what happens to people when they have stuff going on in their lives. And another 8th grader said that his teachers teach empathy by showing empathy and being an example, and having the students read novels and things about empathy. And the novel he used was Wonder. And then a teacher that I interviewed, the 8th grade English teacher, said that she teaches empathy by showing it. The demonstration is key. And she makes a point to have all the students look at things through their eyes, and using things like poetry or novels. And she does this game called We All Carry Baggage, where they'll write down their problems in a piece of paper without their names on it, and they'll crumple it up and throw it in front of the classroom, and the teacher will read them out loud, so then all the other students know what everyone else is going through, but it's totally anonymous. And then an 8th grade social studies teacher I talked to said that she teaches empathy by being an example to the students and having the students put themselves in others' shoes. And then my research, I found that sharing stories is a really big way in how to teach students how to be empathetic, and especially things like books or personal experiences really go a long way. And then next I have high school, and a 12th grader said that she learns it by relating empathy to things. And one of our teachers, Mr. Harrison, he had related it to childbirth. So his wife would never be able to, or he would never be able to empathize with his wife, but he'd be able to sympathize with his wife. But there is a difference. And then another 12th grader said that he read an article about a social classroom experiment where they artificially created a social class and then bullied within a classroom, and that would teach empathy by forcing individuals to actually experience it. And then the 9th grader said that her teachers teach empathy through respect and caring, and that if they see a student struggling, that they'll go and help them. And then the 9th and 10th grade history teacher said that she models empathy, and if she sees a student showing empathy, that she'll let them know they're doing a good job. And then the 10th to 12th grade English teacher, he said that he teaches a lesson where he gives several stories about his life, and after each story he talks about the students feeling empathy or sympathy, and then his wife's pregnant story, and then the 9th to 12th grade life skills teacher, she also gives a lesson on sympathy and empathy, and she'll explain the difference between them and then have her students brainstorm their own ideas of what they could empathize with, and then she would show a short YouTube video about it. And then my research shows that teenagers typically become self-absorbed during their adolescence years, but it's not due to having no empathy, because many people think that teenagers don't have empathy. They just don't know how to show it because their teenage years are all about them. And finally, I interviewed both college students and a college professor. And one of the college students says that in order to teach empathy in the classroom, you have to get students to communicate with one another. Projects that build on getting to know another pupil will lay in the foundation of empowering others. Another college student said that her teachers or her professors show empathy by giving a basic understanding of empathy and then being understanding to them, to their students. And then other one said that he believes a lot of people need a course on empathy, and that the teachers should learn empathy themselves. And then some of his teachers had given examples of empathy. And then a professor that I interviewed, he does the whiteboard sessions where students will go to help other students on projects without worrying about their own projects, and even though they have a deadline. So these are my resources, and in conclusion, students are taught empathy throughout the school career, and educators have their similar tactics when teaching empathy from kindergarten all the way to college. But most importantly, students are taught empathy without realizing it to use throughout their lives.
Okay, so for my part of the project, I did teaching children how to respond empathetically to bullying. Okay. And the first one is model how to value feelings. We must teach our children to always have compassion and to learn to forgive in any bullying situation they may be going through. The first way that children should respond empathetically is by parents teaching the children to model how to value feelings. For example, children watch everything they see around them, so being a good role model by showing them love and empathy in the home. Teaching children these values will help them better understand why other kids may act the way they do. Providing this nurturing to your child is a big step in modeling how to value feelings in a bullying way. And the second one is connect feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. The second way to help children respond in an empathetically way is by connecting feelings in storybooks or plays to their thoughts and behaviors. For example, if a character in a book is sad because another character would not let them play with their toys, ask the child how the character may be feeling in that situation or what might the character do. Connecting stories like this to the child's life could help them better understand future situations that may test how they respond to bullying. This teaches them how to connect between feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. Some other questions to ask the child are, why might they be upset? What could we do to help? Help kids discover what they have in common with other people. The third way to help children respond empathetically to bullying is by encouraging them to find similarities of what they may have in common with other children. For example, in the home, teaching them about other people's cultures, backgrounds, and making new friends is a good start for them to better understand some things they may have in common with others. Having conversations with your child can help them respect other students and help them make more friends. Build a climate of empathy. The last way to help your child respond empathetically in a bullying situation is by helping build a climate of empathy. Encourage children to be kind and understanding will help them respond to bullying in a positive way than in a negative way that could possibly make the situation worse. Strong empathy skills can set children up for success in life. Parents, teachers, caregivers, and even siblings can play a powerful role in helping one another achieve this success. I really love all these topic for bullying because I think I'll be able to read this to my children in case they go through this in school. And my last one is works cited, which is already there as well. Not done yet.
Awesome. Well, that's our presentation.